You know, usually when we talk about a heist story or like a thrilling crime narrative, there's this expectation of gritty realism.
Oh, totally. Like you picture the blueprints spread out on a table under a swinging light bulb.
Right. The high-tech laser grids, the tension of the ticking clock,
Oh, yeah.
or the seasoned detective pointing at a corkboard connected with all that red string.
Yeah, the classic red string. We're so conditioned to expect this impenetrable labyrinth of moving parts.
Exactly. We want our thrillers to feel overwhelming, built on sheer scale and complexity.
Because that complexity kind of acts as a proxy for sophistication, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We assume that if a narrative requires a corkboard to understand, it must be inherently smarter or, more mature than a story with a linear, straightforward plot.
Which is a very specific architectural style of storytelling. It relies on obfuscation to build tension.
It does. But then you step into the world of children's storytelling, and suddenly that corkboard is entirely irrelevant.
It really is. And that's what we're bringing to you today on this deep dive. We're looking at a narrative landscape that is deceptively simple, yet incredibly potent.
Oh, absolutely potent.
We've got this stack of source material, specifically the transcript of a story called What the Ladybird Heard Next.
Right.
And our mission today is to analyze how a seemingly innocent setting masks, like an absolute masterclass in psychological warfare.
It really is a fascinating exercise in narrative efficiency. I mean, we're looking at how to tell a thrilling farm adventure using a simple, engaging tone.
A tone that's perfectly calibrated for a child's ear.
Exactly. But it maintains enough psychological depth, spatial awareness, and classic heist mechanics to keep any adult completely hooked.
It's the absolute definition of hiding a complex thriller inside a brilliantly simple package.
It really is.
And that duality is what we are unpacking for you today. On the surface, you are just telling a farm adventure in a simple tone for children.
Right, just fun animal sounds and a little adventure.
Yeah, but beneath that surface, this text functions as a thorough examination of brains over brawn.
Oh, entirely. And the fatal flaw of human greed.
Yes. And above all, the supreme power of the silent observer.
The silent observer is key here.
So we have this transcript that details the intricate ecosystem of a farm, outlines a sinister plot by two ex-cons, and chronicles this brilliant deception orchestrated by the farm animals.
To protect one of their own.
You're right. So let's literally walk onto this farm and map it out for you. Because the text spends a significant amount of time establishing the geography before any inciting incident even occurs.
It does. The setting of the stage is remarkably methodical.
Yeah.
The story begins by detailing the farm where this ladybird lives, establishing a complete, vibrant mental map for you.
So we're introduced to the cow in her shed, the horse in his stall.
The cats who purr on the garden wall.
Right, and we have a barn full of straw, a field full of sheep.
The kennel where the dog lies fast asleep.
It's so rhythmic. There are fish in the pond, a drake and a duck, a hive of bees, and a heap of muck.
Then there's the hog in his sty, the goose in his pen.
And finally, the coop, which is home to the fat red hen.
It's quite the list.
It is. But I mean, I have to challenge the sheer volume of that exposition, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from a pacing standpoint, isn't spending that much narrative real estate just listing animals and their locations a massive risk?
Well, I would say.
Like, you're basically handing the audience a topographical map and asking them to read the legend before the movie even starts. Why not just jump right into the action?
You might think it stalls the momentum, sure. But consider how anomaly detection works in any security system.
Okay, I'm listening.
You cannot identify a threat unless you have rigorously defined what normal looks and sounds like.
Oh, wow. That makes a lot of sense.
Right. By establishing a place for everyone and ensuring everyone is in their specific place, the story creates a baseline of order.
A baseline of order. I like that.
The farm is this idyllic ecosystem where every animal has its designated sector: the shed, the stall, the wall, the pond.
So it represents structural homeostasis.
Exactly. If you are telling a farm adventure in a simple tone for children, you have to establish that harmony.
So the eventual disruption feels deeply violating rather than just, chaotic.
Precisely. You need the contrast.
So it's like living next to a train track.
How do you mean?
Well, the first few nights, the train wakes you up because it's a disruption.
Right, it's new.
But after a month, the train is part of the baseline. You only wake up if the train doesn't come or if a totally different sound occurs.
That's a perfect analogy. The story is programming our acoustic baseline.
It's programming a baseline of spatial and acoustic expectations.
Yes. which makes the introduction of our protagonist so crucial.
The Ladybird.
Right. Right in the middle of this heavily mapped, structured environment teeming with life and routine noises, we meet the Ladybird.
And she is defined exclusively by a lack of output.
Exactly. The text explicitly says she just saw and heard.
That's it. Just saw and heard.
That's it. She's characterized solely by her sensory input.
Okay, let's unpack this. She is basically a silent security camera perfectly positioned to catch the whole yard.
A fly on the wall, literally. Well, a beetle on the wall.
It's a brilliant juxtaposition. I mean, isn't it fascinating that the absolute smallest creature on the entire property is the only one who possesses situational awareness?
It really is. Everyone else is just generating data. She is the only one actually processing it.
Right.
It speaks to the concept of the ODA loop.
The what loop?
The ODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. It's a decision-making cycle developed by military strategists.
Oh, interesting.
The vast majority of the animals on this farm never make it past the act phase of their own daily routines.
Because they are just existing, doing their normal animal thing.
Exactly. But the Ladybird is entirely anchored in the observe phase.
So in narratives dealing with intelligence and strategy, the individual who controls the flow of information holds the true power.
Precisely. By gathering data while everyone else is broadcasting their presence, she operates entirely off the radar.
And man, that data gathering pays off immediately, because that perfect, peaceful baseline gets completely shattered.
It certainly does.
The inciting incident centers on the fat red hen at the end of our topographical tour.
Right, the one in the coop.
Yeah. The text notes she has thin brown legs and lays lots and lots of speckled eggs.
Lots and lots.
But then the eggs begin to disappear every single morning. The reaction of the farm is just sheer bewilderment. They ask, what's going on?
Because they don't have the data to understand the threat.
Exactly. They are experiencing a systemic failure without any diagnostic tools.
The harmony is broken by a chronic crime of opportunity, and they're completely blind to the vector of attack.
But the Ladybird isn't blind.
No, she is not.
She takes active steps to gather intelligence, flying out to see and hear, and she discovers the culprits.
The intruders.
2 men in a big black van, equipped with a torch and a sack. We meet Hefty Hugh and Lanky Lynn.
And the text drops this incredible detail about them.
Oh yeah, what was it?
It says they had been to jail, but were out again.
Right, which fundamentally alters the threat model.
It really does.
Yeah.
These aren't opportunistic teenagers or wandering predators like a fox.
Right.
These are recidivists. Career criminals.
Yeah, the narrative subtly informs you that the threat is legitimate, experienced, and embedded in the underworld of crime.
Which injects a layer of authentic stakes into this simple farm story.
It definitely changes the vibe. I mean, we are dealing with career criminals operating out of a big black van.
A classic heist trope.
Totally. But what I find truly fascinating is the internal dynamic between Hugh and Lynn.
Oh, their partnership.
Yeah. Their criminal plot undergoes a rapid evolution that basically serves as a case study in the psychology of greed.
How so?
Well, Lanky Lynn initially proposes they just stew another egg or two.
Right. He's focused on the immediate small-scale crime of opportunity.
Exactly. He just wants the output.
Len represents a very specific type of criminal cognition. High time preference.
High time preference.
Yeah, he values the immediate guaranteed reward, a meal, over any abstract future gain.
Yeah.
He operates purely on the level of subsistence theft.
But Hefty Hugh is the visionary of this illicit enterprise.
He's the ideas guy.
He tells Len, I vote we steal the fat red hen. He wants to make their way to the coop and scoop her up in one fell scoop.
His logic is entirely economic, though.
Right, he's thinking big picture. Think of all the eggs she'll lay and all the money people will pay them.
He doesn't want to steal the product off the back of the truck. He wants to acquire the whole factory.
It's like a corporate hostile takeover.
It is a hostile takeover via grand larceny. Hugh understands the economic value of capturing the means of production.
So it's a massive escalation from petty, manageable theft to a high-stakes monopoly.
Exactly.
But wait, isn't a hostile takeover actually less risky than chronic petty theft in this specific scenario?
Why do you say that?
Well, if they keep stealing eggs every night, they expose themselves to detection repeatedly.
True.
By stealing the hen once, they only have to breach the security perimeter a single time.
Okay, from a purely logistical standpoint, yes, a single point of failure minimizes exposure time.
Right, fewer chances to get caught.
However, the physical liability of transporting and hiding a live, noisy asset like a hen is exponentially higher than slipping a few eggs into a pocket.
Oh, I see. A live chicken is a lot harder to smuggle than an egg.
Exactly. The risk profile shifts entirely. But Hugh isn't making this calculation based on risk mitigation.
No.
No, he's making it based on greed.
Oh.
And the text brilliantly visualizes this shift when Lanky Len gets on board with the corporate vision.
What does he say?
He says, "We'll soon be rich. It makes my fingers start to itch."
Wow. The physical manifestation of greed.
Yes.
The idea of immense wealth literally hijacks his nervous system.
It's a very acute observation of how dopamine alters decision-making.
Really? Like actual brain chemistry.
Absolutely. When the brain anticipates a massive reward, the dopamine surge can actually override the amygdala.
Which is the region responsible for processing fear and risk, right?
Exactly. Len and Hugh are no longer evaluating the logistical nightmare of kidnapping a live animal.
They are physiologically intoxicated by the prospect of becoming rich.
And that blinding effect, that suppression of their threat detection centers, is exactly what the farm is going to exploit.
Man, that is so cool. So we have a mastermind and a follower, both currently high on the prospect of infinite wealth, planning a hostile takeover.
But they don't realize their entire planning session has been intercepted.
The silent observer strikes again. The little spotty Ladybird returns to base and relays this terrifying intelligence to the rest of the farm animals.
The briefing is very clear.
Yeah, she says, Hefty Hugh and Lanky Len are planning to steal the fat red hen.
It is pure, actionable intel.
Right, but the immediate response from the farm animals is the antithesis of actionable strategy.
Oh, it's complete breakdown of order.
It really is. We get another exhaustive list of the animals, but this time it isn't a peaceful map of geography.
No, it is a deafening wall of panning.
Yeah, the cow moos, the hen clucks, the goose hisses, the duck quacks.
The horse neighs, the hog oinks, the sheep boss.
The dog woofs and the cats meow. Everyone is just freaking out saying, oh, help, oh no, oh dear.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, they are demonstrating solidarity, declaring we can't let them steal the fat red hen.
But their methodology is purely emotional.
Exactly. It is a brilliant illustration of brute force and panic versus intellect.
Yeah. When faced with a sophisticated, organized threat, the community just reverts to its base instincts.
Right. It's like a fire drill where everyone just stands in the hallway screaming instead of walking to the exits.
That's a great way to put it. They are broadcasting their fear without any coordinated defense.
And making noise in that context doesn't stop a heist.
No, it just tells the bad guys where you are.
It merely confirms to the intruders that the targets are disorganized. It's a massive degradation of the signal-to-noise ratio.
Oh, I see. The vital signal, the intel the Ladybird just provided, is entirely drowned out by the noise of collective panic.
Precisely.
Which, brings up a logistical question about this farm ecosystem for me.
What's that?
If every single animal is mooing, hissing, quacking, and neighing at full volume in the middle of the night, why doesn't the farmer wake up?
Ah, that is a great question. And it circles back to the acoustic baseline we discussed earlier.
All right.
To a farmer, standard animal noises, even a chorus of them, do not register as an anomaly.
Right, it's alarm fatigue.
Exactly.
Like a nurse in an ICU who stops hearing the repetitive boops of the monitors because the brain filters them out as non-threatening background noise.
Yes. The farmer is so conditioned to the specific frequencies and patterns of a cow mooing or a dog barking that it acts as white noise.
Even when they are all doing it at once.
Even then. Which perfectly sets up the need for a sonic event that completely breaks the paradigm later on.
Wow, the setup is so meticulous.
It is. The standard operating procedures of the farm are entirely insufficient against a cunning plan orchestrated by career criminals.
So the community requires a paradigm shift. They need a tactical intervention.
And the Ladybird delivers exactly that.
She cuts right through the noise with a simple phrase. She says, listen quick. I thought of a really clever trick.
Notice the imperative there. Listen quick.
Yeah, she's taking charge.
She is demanding an immediate cessation of output. To survive, the animals must adopt her methodology.
They have to stop broadcasting and start processing.
Exactly. She elevates the entire community from a state of emotional reactivity to a state of strategic planning.
And the strategy she implements is nothing short of brilliant.
It's phenomenal.
So we move into the execution phase in the dead of night. The suspense is high.
Right, the operation is a go.
Hugh and Len breach the perimeter, open the coop, and actually snatch the hen. The hostile takeover is in progress.
They have their hands on the asset.
But instead of panicking, the hen initiates the Ladybird's trick.
The narrative pivots instantly here. It goes from a standard heist to a highly sophisticated confidence game.
A con.
Yeah, the animals cease being victims and become active operators in psychological manipulation.
And the hen stays incredibly cool under pressure.
She really does.
She tells the thieves that she is not the optimal asset. She clucks, "Why don't you steal the downy duck? Her eggs are bigger far than mine, and people say they taste divine."
She is executing a classic social engineering attack.
How do you mean?
Well, she doesn't beg for her life, which would only reinforce the thieves' position of power.
Right. Begging never works in these scenarios.
Instead, she appeals directly to the vulnerability that brought them here. Their greed. She offers an upgrade.
And it works flawlessly. Lanky Lynn's immediate response is, "Good thinking that."
They drop the hen and head toward the pond.
Just like that.
What's fascinating here is that phrase, good thinking that. It reveals the exploit vector the animals are using.
The exploit vector.
Yeah, they are weaponizing the thieves' own egos.
Oh, wow.
By presenting the alternative as a logical, highly profitable pivot, they make the thieves feel like the architects of this brilliant new plan.
So a successful con relies on making the mark feel intellectually superior while they are actively walking into a trap.
Exactly. You flatter the mark.
They feel like they just unlocked a secret bonus level of the heist.
They really do.
So they arrive at the pond, ready to bag the duck. But the duck is ready for the handoff.
Right, she's part of the chain.
She quacks, "Oh, please don't put me in your sack. Why don't you steal the goose instead?" She's bigger still and better fed. Her eggs are huge and tasty too.
The escalation continues. The duck wraps the redirection in the irresistible language of increased profit.
Bigger still, better fed, huge and tasty.
And Hefty Hugh, the supposed mastermind, takes the bait.
His response is literally the exact same. He says, "Good thinking that."
They're flattering the marks relentlessly.
Upselling the thieves on their own crime. But, and I have to ask, aren't the thieves at all suspicious?
You think so, right?
Yeah, I mean, why would these animals be so incredibly helpful in tempting them to more valuable targets?
Because their critical thinking faculties are completely offline.
Ah, the dopamine surge we mentioned earlier.
Exactly. The thieves are entirely consumed by the promise of more. The reward pathway in their brains is firing so intensely that it suppresses skepticism.
That is wild.
They're experiencing cognitive tunneling.
Yeah.
They can only see the promised reward, not the improbability of the situation.
Which sets the stage for the absolute climax of this con.
The best part.
The goose, playing her part perfectly, hisses and says, "I'm not much use. Why don't you steal that great big bird, the super-duper snuggly snurd?"
The introduction of the snuggly snurd is a masterclass in exploiting that cognitive tunneling.
It is the ultimate bait. The thieves are briefly thrown off, right? Lynn asks what, and Hugh asks who.
But the goose utilizes social proof.
Right, playing it off like it's common knowledge. She says, "I thought you knew." She lays the biggest eggs of all. Each one looks like a rugby ball.
And then the duck chimes back in as the corroborating witness.
Yes. She adds that the snurd is friendly and will put an end to all your cares. You'll very soon be millionaires.
The animals have correctly identified the core motivation of the intruders.
Becoming millionaires.
Exactly. And they have constructed a completely fictional, entirely absurd entity specifically tailored to satisfy that desire.
It's the exact architecture of a Nigerian prince email scam.
How so? Explain that connection.
Well, those scams are purposely designed to offer a reward so ridiculously lucrative and frankly so fantastical that it acts as a filter.
A filter for who will fall for it.
Right. If an email says, "Help me transfer these funds and I'll give you $10 million, a rational person deletes it because the premise is absurd.
Right.
But a person blinded by desperation or greed bypasses all those logical filters. They only see the 10 million.
So Hugh and Len don't pause to run the math.
Exactly. They don't act, "Wait, why haven't we ever heard of a bird that lays rugby ball-sized eggs?"
The word millionaire short-circuits their logic completely.
They accept the absurd premise because they desperately want the promised outcome to be true.
It is a profound observation of human vulnerability.
It really is.
The perpetrators of any scam rely on the victim's greed overriding their common sense. The duck and the goose construct an illusion of unparalleled reward.
And because the thieves' egos have been stoked at every single step, they willingly step inside the illusion.
They're completely hooked.
So the thieves ask the golden question, where is the snurd?
This is where the architecture of the defense truly shines.
Because the original target, steps back in to deliver the final blow.
It's so good.
She directs them to the big brown heap, claiming the snurd is fast asleep inside.
The muck heap.
Yes.
The very one we were introduced to in the baseline topographical map at the start of the story.
It's a brilliant payoff. The thieves are ecstatic, they laugh, they say, "We've got it made."
They grab the farmer's spade.
Right, effectively utilizing the farm's own tools against themselves, and they start digging into a literal pile of manure.
The physical comedy here is fantastic for a child listening, but the psychological implications are actually quite dark.
Very dark. Len digs and complains, "Pooh, it stinks." And Hugh replies, "So do you."
That exchange is a stark revelation of their psychological degradation.
Oh, for sure.
They are faced with literal, foul-smelling muck, an incredibly hostile and unpleasant environment, yet they continue their pursuit.
They are knee-deep in feces, and Len is still asking, "Where's that giant bird?"
And the goose, maintaining the con from a safe distance, replies, "She's rather shy. She must be hiding deep inside."
This is textbook sunk cost fallacy in action.
Let's really dig into how that operates here, because the sunk cost fallacy is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I'd love to break that down for you all.
The psychological investment they have made in the Snuggly Snurd is now overriding their physical reality.
Right, they have completely abandoned their original achievable plan of stealing the hen.
Exactly. They have invested their time, their energy, and their physical comfort into this new endeavor.
So when the environment becomes hostile, when it literally stinks, a rational actor would recognize the bad data, cut their losses, and retreat.
But because acknowledging failure would mean admitting they were tricked.
And that their investment was wasted.
Right, they double down. The deeper they dig, the more committed they become to the illusion.
It's corporate escalation of commitment. They dig a tunnel nice and deep, with Hugh saying, "That's it, now in we creep."
They are crawling into a tunnel of muck because they are convinced salvation is just one more shovel strike away.
Len even says, "I think we're nearly there. The snurd will soon be ours."
It is absolute tunnel vision. They have lost all perspective of their surroundings.
Which goes back to the Ladybird, right? Her trick wasn't just about misdirection.
No, it was about weaponizing the thieves' own momentum against them. She didn't trick them into leaving the property.
She tricked them into immobilizing themselves.
Exactly. By feeding their greed, she induced a state of tunnel vision that caused them to neutralize their own threat by digging their own trap.
Man, that is so smart. Which leads to the inevitable systemic collapse.
The physical collapse of the heap.
Yeah, the structural integrity of a tunnel dug into loose muck just gives way. The heap collapses right on top of them.
It's disastrous for them.
Hugh yells, "Yuck! We're covered head to toe in muck."
And in that humiliating, suffocating moment, the dopamine finally wears off and the illusion shatters.
Len realizes the truth. There is no snurd. They just made up that giant bird.
The realization of the con always arrives precisely when it is too late for the mark to retreat.
Always. And the poetic justice of this resolution is so deeply satisfying.
How do you mean?
Well, think about it. This is a simple farm story. The animals don't possess the physical capability to battle two grown men.
Right, they aren't guard dogs.
They don't have weapons. They can't lock them in a vault. The antagonists aren't physically battered by the heroes.
Instead, they are quite literally buried in the consequences of their own greed.
Yes. The desire for more is the exact mechanism that led them into the muck.
The punishment perfectly mirrors the psychological crime.
It really does.
Their greed was dirty and foul, and so they end up entombed in dirt and foulness. They engineered and excavated their own downfall.
The animals merely provided the blueprint and the encouragement.
Which is incredible.
So, with the thieves trapped and immobilized in the muck, the illusion of the Snuggly Snurd completely evaporates.
Right.
And this is the precise moment the animals finally unleash the brute force they attempted to use earlier.
But they don't do it physically, they do it sonically.
Exactly. The text notes they gathered round and all let out a deafening sound.
This is a critical pivot in their tactical execution.
Why is that?
Well, earlier, their panic noises were uncoordinated, emotional, and ineffective. They were just reacting to stimuli.
Right, everyone just screaming in the hallway.
But now, they are acting with unified purpose. They exercise discipline, waiting for the exact right moment when the threat was fully neutralized to sound the alarm.
It's a concentrated, weaponized wall of sound. The text calls it, "What a row."
And this specific deafening anomaly is what finally shatters the acoustic baseline of the farm.
Ah, we are back to the baseline.
Exactly. This isn't the ambient white noise of a cow mooing in the distance anymore.
This is an emergency siren, a complete disruption of the sonic environment.
And it works. The farmer wakes up.
The farmer's arrival represents the restoration of institutional authority, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. The animals handled the tactical defense and the neutralization of the threat.
But the farmer represents the ultimate law of the land. arriving to find the intruders already subdued and ready for processing.
Right. He wakes up, says, "Goodness me," and then the text includes this curious little detail.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
It says he had a word with his prize queen.
I love the ambiguity of this in the transcript. What exactly is a prize queen in this context?
Well, in agricultural terms, it could refer to a particularly valuable breeding animal,
Like a cow or something.
maybe. But given that bees play a role in the very next sequence, it might be a literal queen bee.
Oh, that makes sense.
Alternatively, it could be an affectionate colloquialism for his most prized asset on the farm, which very well might be the fat red hen herself.
The original target of the heist.
Exactly.
Regardless of who the queen actually is, the farmer's assessment triggers the final eviction.
The bees.
Yes. The bees, who have been completely silent and inactive this entire time, suddenly mobilize. They swarm and chase after the two bad men.
The bees act as the final biological enforcement mechanism,
They ensure that the retreat of the criminals is permanent.
because the text confirms the efficacy of this by stating they never came back to the farm again.
The threat is entirely expelled.
Completely.
And what follows is a beautiful rhythmic return to the baseline we established at the very beginning of our analysis.
The farm returns to its exact original state.
The cow said moo, the hen said cluck, hiss said the goose, crack sang the duck.
Neigh, said the horse. Oink, said the hog.
Ba said the sheep, and woof said the dog. The farmer cheered, and both cats purred.
This repetition is so vital for structural closure.
It really soothes the listener, especially a child.
It signifies that the ecosystem has achieved homeostasis once again. The trauma of the intrusion has passed.
The natural order and harmonious rhythm of the farm have resumed their normal functions.
Because the foreign threat was successfully eradicated.
It's like the deep breath at the end of a thriller.
It is. But there is one final, incredibly poignant detail that the story leaves us with.
Amidst all the cheering and the mooing and the return to normalcy, the narrative zooms back in on our tiny protagonist.
The ladybird.
The final lines of the text are, "But the ladybird said never a word, and neither did the snuggly snurd."
It is a profoundly elegant ending.
I want you to really think about the power of that silence.
It's striking.
We just spent this entire narrative dealing with noise, the ambient noise of the baseline, the chaotic noise of panic, the deceptive noise of the con.
The deafening noise of the alarm and the joyful noise of victory.
Right. But the story ends by honoring the quiet.
The ladybird, the operative who actually orchestrated the salvation of the entire community, doesn't gloat.
No, she doesn't demand recognition or a medal. She simply returns to her state of observation.
She understands that her power intrinsically relies on her silence.
Because to speak, to broadcast her intelligence, would be to compromise the very attribute that makes her effective.
Exactly. And pairing her silence with the silence of the snuggly snurd is a stroke of narrative genius.
I totally agree. The snurd is silent because it doesn't exist.
While the ladybird is silent because she is perfectly content in her reality.
It honors both the hero and the mythical construct that saved the day.
The brilliance of telling a farm adventure to children in this simple tone is that it acts as a Trojan horse.
Oh, absolutely. It provides the sensory satisfaction of the animal noises and the physical comedy of a muck heap.
But it's delivering massive psychological concepts under the radar.
It proves that complexity does not require a convoluted delivery.
Not at all. The mechanisms of social engineering, the exploitation of cognitive biases like the sunk cost fallacy.
And the strategic value of anomaly detection.
Right. They can all be seamlessly integrated into a narrative about a hen and a duck.
When you really analyze the mechanics of the story, you appreciate the intricate layers hidden inside it.
You really do. It's brilliant.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought to ponder on your own.
Something to mull over.
Yeah. We've spent a lot of time today on the snuggly snurd, this completely fabricated, absurd creature that only existed because two men wanted to be millionaires so badly they blinded themselves to reality. The snuggly snurd didn't exist, yet it had the immense power to manipulate behavior, save an entire farm, and take down two hardened criminals.
A powerful illusion.
So think about this. What snuggly snurds, what collective myths, illusions, or impossible promises of easy rewards do we chase in our own lives?
Where might we be digging into the muck?
Exactly. Where are we doubling down on a sunk cost fallacy, searching for something that was never really there to begin with?